All right, welcome back everybody to the Terry Hansen Show. On this episode 39, we talk a little bit about how to sell to someone who really isn't interested in hearing from you in the first place. How do you do that? This particular question came in from one of our subscribers, one of our viewers. Thank you for sending this in. Thought we would spend some time talking a little bit about this. And for those of you who are new to our show, greetings from Potato Land, Podunk, Idaho, on behalf of myself and Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. We are glad you are here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and join and receive notifications every single day, every single week that new shows come out. So it's great to be with you. And let's dive into our topic today. So as you and I, as entrepreneurs and salespeople and freelancers, as we are out hunting and hustling for new business, trying to fill up our sales pipelines and really grow our business revenue and build a good solid six-figure income plus, one of the challenges that we normally run into is people who just frankly aren't interested in hearing about our new opportunity, the products and services that we sell. So the question is how do we sell or approach someone who is not even interested in hearing from us? And of course, my big head is right in the way, but you see the question here. How do you sell to someone who isn't even willing to hear about what you sell in the first place? So let's talk a little bit about 4 things that we need to keep in mind, okay? So first one that we need to think about is the person that you are targeting, is the person that you want to speak with, do they fit your target demographic? Do they fit your target demographic? Have you done enough initial advanced research to know that the company that they're in is the size and is in the industry, has the right kinds of characteristics and qualities that would, generally speaking, make them a very, very good target? And is the person inside that company that you're trying to reach out to, are they the kind of decision maker, decision influencer, or stakeholder that would put them usually in the context of being involved in the decision-making process when it comes to purchasing your products, your services? So have you done your due diligence? Are they the right target for you to contact? If the answer is yes, then that's the first thing. That's the first thing that we need to think about. So this simple question here is good to think about. Do they fit? Do they fit your ideal customer profile? If the answer is yes, let's move on to the next one. If the answer is no, you may question the efficacy and the validity of continuing to target and pursue that company. You could just be simply barking up the wrong tree. So if you haven't done your initial research and homework and you can't answer this question, do they fit my ideal profile? Then that's where you need to start first. So that's number 1. Number 2 is recognize that most executives, most business owners that we're trying to contact to market and promote our products and services and generate new business, they have had 1,001 other negative experiences with entrepreneurs, with freelancers, with salespeople, with folks trying to promote and sell their products and services. They've had negative experiences. And so when salespeople approach them, the red flags naturally pop up. They think about all the negative experiences that they've had, and what they're rejecting, what they're not interested in, is actually not you, and it's not your products or services, and it's not even your company. It's the stereotype. It's the stereotype. So recognize that the real enemy here is not the real enemy is not their lack of interest. It's this negative stereotype that you're battling, right? So we've got to remember that the stereotype is playing a bigger role in things than you and I may recognize. So the way that you and I combat that is recognize, what is the stereotype? Well, the stereotype is a salesperson who approaches them and gives them this slick willy elevator pitch and talks about their products, their services, all the features of those products and services, all the benefits and the great rewards and the great and wonderful things that come when people buy and purchase those products and services, how great the company is. It's like this big advertisement. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And that initial stereotypical approach happens when salespeople talk too much, they don't listen enough, and they're just focused on me, me, me. The spotlight is on them, the salesperson, right? That's why executives hate cold calls or being interrupted by people who have that sort of a presentation, is because they're not paying attention to the executive or their company. They're not even talking about things that are relevant in the first place. So we have to think about what they're rejecting is the stereotype. And then the third thing that we need to think about is, how can I switch up my approach so that I'm not supporting or sounding like or coming across like that stereotype? How can I change my approach? How can I change my approach so that it is the opposite of this? So that it's not looking and smelling just like everybody else on the planet. How can I change it up? Well, and the answer to that is, instead of focusing on when you introduce yourself to somebody who really isn't interested in hearing from you, instead of focusing on you, the real answer is you focus on them. Instead of focusing on your products, focus on their problems. Instead of focusing on your the benefits of what your product has to offer, focus on the priorities that they are looking to achieve. So the answer is, how can you make your approach them focused? How can you spend the bulk of your time asking questions instead of talking? There's an old-fashioned rule in selling. It's the 70-30 rule of communication. Some of you have probably heard about it. It's been around for decades, right? The 70-30 rule says that 70% of the talking should be done by the prospect, by the person who you're in front of, right? You, the salesperson or entrepreneur or freelancer, should only do 30% of the talking. And that means if you're going to get somebody else to do 70% of the talking, you've got to come ready with questions. So think about your introduction, your initial approach as being full of questions. Think about the kinds of questions that you could ask. And one of the worst questions that you can ask is after you introduce yourself, asking the question, is that something you're interested in? Is that something you'd like to talk about? Or is that something that you might consider, wanting more information about? That ultimately is asking a closing question. That's a close, if you will. And when you introduce yourself to somebody for the first time, you don't try to close them in any way, shape, or form. The questions that you ask get them to talk about something that's important to them, a problem or an issue or a challenge that they would like to solve, or a priority or a goal or a result or an outcome that they really want to achieve. Your questions are aimed at getting them to talk about those things. And then secondarily, you offer usually a free or complimentary way to help them in some way. You offer value, you create value for them, do something that makes a difference for them right off the bat. When you have that sort of approach, you smash that stereotype in half. You're not the gimme, 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 take type traditional stereotypical salesperson. Instead, you're the listen, ask questions, give. That's a whole other ball of wax there, right? So when you approach that, you are perceived as an expert, as a consultant, as a trusted advisor, as a professional, as someone like, holy cow, where have you been all my life? When you hang up the phone with someone like that, you're glad they called. You hate when these people call you, but you're super grateful when an expert, when a consultant, when a trusted partner and an advisor calls and listens, and they offer a meaningful, valuable suggestion that's going to help move the needle for you and your company. You're grateful that they called then, and that's the recommendation. So to answer the question, how do you get someone who isn't even willing to listen to you how do you sell to somebody like that? First off, you've got to make sure that they're the right fit, legitimately do your research. You recognize that you're battling up against a negative stereotype. So switch up and change up your approach and make sure that your approach is them focused. Speak very little about who you are, what you do, what you sell, that sort of thing. Instead, compact and prepared with questions to get them talking about things that are important to them. They don't want to hear about what you sell until they know that they've got a problem worth solving. So that's your approach. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm interested to hear from you guys. What other advice would you suggest to someone who says, how in the world do you sell to people who aren't even willing to hear about the stuff that you have to sell in the first place? So post your comments down below. Love to hear from you. Be sure to check in every single day and every single week to the Terry Hansen Show as we post new episodes on as we unlock the secrets for sales prospecting for entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and freelancers. Great to be with you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep up the hard work. And from all of us here in Potato Land, Idaho, have a great rest of your day. And we look forward to being back with you on the next episode of The Terry Hansen Show. Take good care. Bye-bye.